So in May of 2016, I was driving down here at 8th Street, and I noticed here on the corner there was a for sale sign. We called our broker, put in an unsolicited offer, and 11 months later, we broke ground on this beautiful project. So some of y'all are aware. For those of you who don't remember, we had the Flying Star right here, and this is where we'd park when we'd come and eat. So it has been some change for the neighborhood, and I hope it's been a positive change. We really tried to blend in the aesthetics, the color scheme, and not make a four-story building too monolithic along the streetscape. But there were a lot of people that helped make that happen. Some of whom you're going to hear today, some of whom are standing in the back. If you were involved with this project, I'd like for you guys to stand. If you were with the architecture firm, with the contractor, with one of our attorneys, with the financing groups. I mean, this looks like half the so. I'd like to personally thank you all. When they ask what we do, we say we're a developer. Let's hope we don't get shot. But usually that has a very negative word. If you see a developer on television or in movies, they're usually a villain. We like to think we're a little bit of softer developer, and try to go into neighborhoods where we are welcomed. But I think I've said enough, and I'd like to invite up first Patrick Baca, who is someone that has chosen to make this community his home, just to say a few words. Patrick? If you could say a few words right now.
Morning. I am glad to be living here at Sterling because from the first day I moved in, they've been real helpful with me, and especially Cynthia. And then Bradbury and Stam, all my needs that I've needed in my unit, they were right there ready to just punch it out for me, which was great. And I couldn't think of a better place to be living right now because I just moved up from down the street and this project was going up, and I said, I said to myself, I'm going to move in there. And I've been lucky to get my paperwork resolved and everything, and I'm happy to say that I'm a very happy tenant at Sterling downtown. That's about it. Later.
Thank you, Mr. Baca.
You're welcome.
Now I'd like to invite up Megan Feresi, who's also chosen to make Sterling her home.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I didn't know it would be such a big event. I would have possibly put something else on. Anyway, making this my home. I mean, this is my home. I mean, downtown has been my home for a really long time. I work downtown. I'm an educator with Lew Wallace Elementary School. I like urban living, and I think this building was designed with building community in the downtown area. And not only from its design, but its intuitive nature of the units themselves. Everything from the bike racks that are actually downstairs where you can just unlock them and just go for a bike ride, and you don't have to carry it 3 stories down from your apartment. The units themselves are beautifully designed in their simplistic nature. They've used a beautiful way of creating light and space in what is traditionally an urban small living environment, which is, for me, a simple way of living, and I really appreciate that. A friend of mine last Saturday, we were down at the Growers Market, and it was a huge pleasure to bring her down from the Northeast Heights and to have her experience the Growers Market downtown and the aliveness that it creates and the community that it builds, and then to come over to my home, to the space that I have chosen to live, and to go up on the 4th floor where we can see the beautiful city in its morning splendor on a Saturday. And she looked at me and she said, you know, this is what I aspire to, Megan. This is what I would like my life to be like, you know, when, you know, her son moves on to college. And that's sort of my story as my life moves on and takes on a second chapter as my oldest daughter embarks on her life and my youngest daughter is a junior in high school. It sets the stage for that simplistic living that I think so many of us look toward. So I thank the owners. I thank Bradbury Stam, everyone that has been working around this building, and the 3 weeks that I have been here have been nothing but gracious and kind, and I am grateful. And my biggest, sincerest thanks to Amanda Cifuentes, who saw something in me and rooted very, advocated for me to be a resident here. So thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And now we'd like to bring up Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller.
Well, good morning, Albuquerque, and good morning, everyone who's come out, and especially all our residents and folks who help put this together. For me, you know, I just want to share a couple of things. And first, I know we've acknowledged, I think, a lot of the folks who've been part of this project. And I think I see Jay back, nice. And Jay, former CAO of the city of Albuquerque, right? And aviation director. His picture is still in the airport. But I want to acknowledge, of course, Jay Czar and Councilor Ike Benton, who can't be here today, and Hannah from Decker Parish.
Right behind you.
Oh. And of course, Lawrence from Bradbury Stam. And so thank you. And I also want to say a few things. So number one, this is a really important project for our city because this is, we know, look, let's be clear. We have a challenge when it comes to housing. We also have a challenge when it comes to homelessness, and we have a challenge when it comes to helping our low-income individuals and our moderate-income individuals and everything in between. But the good news is, with the housing partnership, with the folks behind me, we have been stepping up to the challenge for affordable housing. And this is just the next step in that process, which we're going to continue. And I want to highlight, there's one person who I actually got to know back when I was first running as a state senator back in the International District. And I mean, a huge piece of her expertise and her effort and her public service now for at least 10 years has been around providing all sorts of needed housing for Burqueños. And that's our commissioner, Debbie O'Malley. This is I think in many ways, a huge commitment and another victory, another feather in her cap. Thank you, Debbie, for all you've done on all of these projects. And you know, for me, there's a lot of things that I have issues with that happened in the past, and there's a lot of things that I just get to take credit for. So let me just say that I want to thank our previous mayor for putting this package together with our counselor, or our commissioner and our counselor. But this is a tremendous project. It's a project that I'm proud to be here really just to celebrate and to say that we need more of this, and also to say that we have more in the pipeline. And so whether it's the different hotels that we're working on up and down Central, whether it's the housing project that we're working on with St. Martin's, we are addressing our housing needs head on in Albuquerque. And thanks in many ways to the leadership of those who've come before me, especially our county commissioner and of course Ike Benton, our city councilor. They've been working on this for a long time, and it's great to see now in Albuquerque almost every 18 months we are celebrating another affordable housing victory. And so this is a good thing for Albuquerque. I think in many ways, despite our challenges, we're actually a little bit ahead of the curve on this, and that's something that we should celebrate. It's something that we should be proud of. Now, I did mention that I want to acknowledge that there are 33,000 households that spend more than 50% of their income on housing in Albuquerque. that is where we've got to provide much needed assistance. And that's all right. Second from the fire department. We'll see what happens there. I think it looks like they might be about done, but are heading out. So I'm just gonna pause for a second because they're gonna drive right past us. Okay, we're good to go. They're turning around. So let me just close with this. This building also is something that it's important. So folks know that I'm a champion of sustainable building, and I'm proud to say that we have a solar carport inside this building, and of course, solar hot water on the roof. These are the kinds of initiatives that it's great to see a public-private partnership come together to deliver on, and in many ways is a role model for our city buildings. And so we want to welcome Sterling to downtown Albuquerque, of course also to West Downtown, and another example of some tremendous projects that demonstrate that we are one Albuquerque. We come together, whether it's our nonprofit partners or the city and the county, and even our partners in the business community, to do what we need to do to help our city. And congratulations to everyone who put this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Keller. We have been blessed in our 25-year history as the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership to have a great relationship with the city of Albuquerque throughout different administrations, and we're really excited to see what your administration is going to do to help us fulfill our mission and tack away at those 33,000 families. I mean, we're putting 107 families here, but we understand that's just a drop in the bucket, and we wish we could do more, and we look forward to future successful projects, hopefully about every 18 months. So. We're also very excited. This is our first project in partnership with Bernalillo County. At the same time that we are applying for private activity bond volume cap issued by Bernalillo County and released by the State Board of Finance, Councilor Manley was actually the chair. And she might forget this, but we came in to present our project. We had it structured a certain way. And she made sure that she was very prudent and careful with the county resources and the tools within her disposal. And we actually made some changes to the project. This was not just a blank check or a rubber stamp approval. She really made us kind of sharpen our pencil and come into that. And I think it overall made it a better project. But I'd like to welcome Councilor Malley to say a few words.
Thank you. Counselor/Commissioner, that's probably true. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Felipe, and I want to thank you, Mayor Carroll, for those very generous comments. This has been a passion of mine, as many of you know, affordable housing. And just before I say a few words, I wanted to say that, and both Felipe and the mayor mentioned this gap, that keeps getting bigger and bigger between wages and housing. And that's really the problem. It's what it comes down to. We have folks, of course, who are, have no home at all, but then we have people that are losing their home every day. And this is just going to get worse and worse. And the idea of building more affordable housing and trying to address that gap between wages and housing is going to be very important. So we're here today, of course, to celebrate this really important event with the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership. And as you can see, it takes a village to create a village. And this is about enhancing the quality of life for all residents, including the folks that are living here. And this is, of course, apartment is a great example of this work. Well designed, high quality. It looks like we've got about 100. It's possible that are you full up?
We're about 50%.
50%. So it's 100 apartments, mostly on workforce housing rents. So those are probably below 80%.
All below 60.
All below 60. That's really great. Maybe that was one of the things I called you about. So this is a good thing. It's a good win for everyone. And as part of our endeavor, we approved $10 million in project revenue bonds. They're privately financed, so there's no taxpayer dollars in this particular deal from the county. So we're very proud of our participation in this project. So congratulations to everyone. who was a part of it, and to all the residents, welcome home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. As she mentioned, these are private activity pass-through bonds. So Bernalillo County was the issuer, but actually Doug Leeser flew in from Louisville. Citigroup was actually the purchaser of those bonds. So they were issued for 40 years. Citigroup has chosen to purchase those bonds for the first 18 years. So thank you, Doug, and your team. We got funded today on Jaws 14 and 15, so there's a lot of happy people out in the crowd. So thank you, Doug. So once we received workforce housing funds from the city and the private activity bonds from the county, Bernalillo County, there was one other kind of key component of this project, and that was utilizing the low-income housing tax credit and the New Mexico Housing Trust Fund. These are both administered by the Mortgage Finance Authority. So those who don't know, I worked at the MFA for about 6.5 years. I'm very privileged to call Jay Czar as one of my mentors, and I see a lot of other smiling faces of MFA employees that I worked with. But I'm also happy to call him my friend. It's a little different when you're not directly supervising someone, that the relationship kind of changes a little bit. And I'm very, very grateful to have had Jay at a specific point in my life, and all the work that the MFA does in supporting these projects. So I'd like Jay to come up, Mr. Czar, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe, and I really am so proud of all your accomplishments and your successes with GAP. You've just done a remarkable job. You really have. Please give Felipe a round of applause. Nationwide affordable housing is in a crisis mode, and it's very problematic throughout the country, and many people either can't afford housing, they go to homelessness, they go to crowding situations, they work 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to pay their rent and their utilities and their expenses. It is very problematic here in New Mexico as well, and it was nice to hear the mayor and the county commissioner refer to it as a challenge. And part of it is we don't wring our hands here in Albuquerque and New Mexico like they do in other places and say there's a crisis and what do you do about it. These folks get together and partner to solve these issues, and that's really, really important. The Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership has a rich history of success, as I've mentioned. Something that they do that I think is unique throughout the state is they go into historical, traditional neighborhoods, and they help those neighborhoods come back alive and prosper. Places like the International District, places like here. And where do people come from? Just like the resident said, they moved here from down the street. And it's a place for seniors, it's a place for singles, it's a place for families. And they just do a remarkable job. There's no finer location than right here. You know the amenities that are in the area. Mass transit, all the city and county facilities. Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership has done a great job. Their mission is just like ours, to create that affordable housing that everybody needs. We've been very fortunate at MFA. We had a record year last year, over $500 million put into affordable housing throughout the state. Over 1,700 affordable units built last year. Over 2,500 families going into their own home ownership. Just a phenomenal year, and this is part of the success. Just in the downtown area over the last 9 to 10 years, there have been well over 700 affordable units financed. And what that has done is to create the mass that economically supports things like the grocery store down the street. This will help that grocery store be even more successful. The drugstore, the restaurants, all the businesses. It's just so vitally important that we take care of our downtown area. Something that the city knows and the county knows, and of course we know, Felipe, is that the basic element, the fundamental need is to take care of families. And if you take care of families, it goes a long way in terms of the success and the viability of a city. And we know that the most important predictor of successful outcomes for children and for families is stable housing. It's the core to success. There's a lot of other factors, but you have to have a stable, affordable housing. And so what this project represents is making this neighborhood stronger, making this community stronger, and most importantly, making the family stronger. Thank you all very much. If I could, Felipe, I would like to thank the MFA staff. You know, they work year round, and if all of the MFA staff members would stand up and just wave your hands, I'd sure appreciate it. And I know that Susan and Sabrina and Patty and a whole array of people worked specifically, and Sean and Izzy worked on this project alone. And so for us, it's been very, very satisfying. Being just a couple of blocks away from our office, we get to supervise the construction on a daily basis, and so it's incredibly rewarding. And we're fortunate that we have jobs that are as rewarding as they are. So thank you all, thank the city, and thank the county, because without this partnership, none of this could have happened. Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I'd like to invite up Bob Tilley. Bob Tilley, when we were working through this project, was the president of the Reynolds Addition Neighborhood Association. So I've heard you've had a new promotion to another role within the Neighborhood Association, but is also involved in other things throughout their city. And I'd just like to invite Bob to come up and say a few words.
Thanks. Yeah, as Felipe said, my name is Bob Tilley, and past 4 years I was president of the Neighborhood Association, and my improvement on that is being the vice president now. So, although the president's out of town for the summer, so I'm acting president again. So there you go. Yeah. So I discovered downtown around. I've lived all over the city, and I discovered downtown. Really discovered it around 17 years ago when I moved into the Alvarado apartments, and I really fell in love with the neighborhood for all the same reasons that she had mentioned there. I loved it so much that in 2003 I bought a house, which is about 200 feet from this spot. So I got to see this building being built, and I always wondered, you know, this lot was vacant the whole time, inexplicably. And going back at the records, it's been 40 or 50 years that it was completely undeveloped. So it's great to see it come to life, especially in this particular iteration. So I want to welcome everyone to the neighborhood, the Reynolds neighborhood, we call it. Since 1912, when it was platted, is one of the many interesting and historic neighborhoods in the downtown core. We actually have a walking tour, our own walking tour. You can see that online. I invite everyone to come out and explore the great things the Reynolds and the surrounding areas have to offer. Within walking distance, there are over 70 restaurants and coffee shops. In fact, I have a printout with all of them. There are libraries, parks, the zoo, the bosque, the downtown growers market, the rail yards market. You can walk to the rail runner, spend a day enjoying Santa Fe. Speaking of walking, Reynolds has a walk score of 91. That's 91 out of 100. One of the best in Albuquerque. A lot of things to walk to. Calm streets. I think a community is more than a collection of buildings or a group of people. It's the interaction that makes a community. The Reynolds Neighborhood Association tries to create an environment where its citizens interact and build a sense of community. So please join us on August 7th. It's a Tuesday. We have our annual National Night Out celebration. It's a block party. We close off 1,300 block of gold. Everyone's welcome. Kid-friendly. Come meet your neighbors and find out about our community building efforts, like our community garden. We do the bike valet at the Downtown Growers Market. We provide that pre-service. Our summer pool parties at the beautiful Rio Grande pool just down the road here. and we do a Raina Rendezvous events where we come together and we support local businesses. So welcome to the neighborhood, and please explore it and please enjoy it, and come and talk to me and find out more about it. Thank you.
For just some of the reasons that Bob mentioned, that's why we were so excited, or I was so excited when we were driving down the street and saw this property for sale. It was not actively listed, and so which made it even a little bit more attractive to us. So we've walked through the funders and the supporters and the community support for the project, but we still had someone to bring that vision to life. And these next two individuals that I'm going to bring up, both Hannah and Lawrence, they might not remember it, but I sure do. I was their mentor with the NAIOP Young Leaders Group going on about 10 years ago now. They were both relatively young out of college. I'm just a few years older than them, so I don't want to date myself that much. But it was really excited when we kind of brought this team together to kind of to work with both of them and their firms. And I have been blown away by their professionalism, not only themselves, them taking the extra step, but the team that they've chosen to surround themselves with. Everyone who's touched this project has really tried to make it their own. But these are the folks that actually had to help us get it out of the ground and bring those beautiful pictures and images to life. So first I'd like to invite up Hannah Greenhood from Decker Parish, Sabatini.
Thank you, Felipe. So I'm Hannah, and I work for Decker Parish Sabatini as an architect there. I have a number of my colleagues in the audience, and so I want to make sure that everyone knows this was not just single-handed. There is a huge team that I'll go through individually at the end if you'll just take some time to acknowledge each and every one of them. So today I'm here to represent that design team and give you a little bit of insight about where this building, the concepts really came from. This is a fantastic project to have been able to work on with a fantastic owner who has a fantastic mission to bring homes and housing to people who really, really need them in a fantastic neighborhood. Downtown really, really needs more and more love every single day, and the more that we can spend on it, the better it will get. I'd first like to point out a few key features of the project. The first one is, as you can see, this is a very challenging infill site downtown with constant traffic and very close proximity to the edge of the property lines. And not to mention, if you look overhead, we are surrounded by 3 different sections of power lines. So all of these things make for a very exciting culmination of design expertise, and in particular, construction expertise to actually execute these things on site. Not to mention, the fantastic infill site brings a lot of positives too. We've heard from Bob, who was very crucial in our early neighborhood meetings in really getting the rest of the neighborhood to be excited about the urban aspect of these projects, including bikeability and walkability. But we have the growers market and an ART station just a few blocks away, which was something that I know is near and dear to Felipe's heart at the very beginning, to have that transportation very, very nearby for residents. On this tight site, there's all those things that I mentioned, but I wanted to give a little shout out to Bradbury Stam, because they've been a fantastic team to work with. I see the majority of them were there, but sorry if someone else is over there. But Lonnie and Easton and Jimmy and Jordan and Eli and Lawrence and Jeremy that I don't see, and Greg who I don't see, but thank you so much for all of the collaborative effort with that. It's been a fantastic journey together on a very difficult site, as you all know. Along with these other things, it's really about supporting those neighbors, and then of course supporting those future residents of this place. So thinking about more of the actual features of the building itself, really cost-effective design driven by different construction types that we can make as valuable as possible to everyone's pocketbooks, but also to the actual final conclusion of the building itself. As we heard Mayor Keller talk about Sustainability. We did actually get a lot of sustainability features into this building that we truly believe not only help the environment, but help the people that live there too. On this project in particular, we focused on not only the environmental sustainability, but the human sustainability. This project is the first registered well project in the state of New Mexico. And we're hoping to see... And for those of you that aren't familiar with the well building standard, it's a building standard that focuses on human health and what the things that we do in our built environment really do to our human bodies. The air we breathe, the water that we drink, the mobility, those walkable, bikeable things all come into play in the message that we're trying to send of the importance of the homes that we're trying to create for the residents that live here and the surrounding neighborhood. On top of that, it is a Lead for Homes project that has incredible in energy efficiency, not only just in the systems that Mayor Keller talked about, but also in just the way that the building was put together. So, and that, again, props to Bradbury Sam to execute those details, but we noticed it even in the winter that you could feel it without any systems there. So another big, great thing that came together with that. But all of those things really came from a team of people. And I'd like to take a minute and just go through every single person on that team, so bear with me. The first is structural design was Matt Bean at QPEC. A 4-story wood frame building is not easy. MEP design by Carl Tipton with M&E Engineering. Those thermal hot water systems and centralized boiler systems and individual residents have a lot of things to do with a very complicated HVAC design. The next is our civil engineer, Dave Obie from the design group. Great collaboration on a very tight site. You'll hear that as a repeated concept. You heard about the energy analysis, and so we got to work with Green Insight, and in particular, Cody Gatlin, who led that effort. Our building has officially received a lower than 60 HERS rater on every single dwelling unit. For those of you that don't know about HERS ratings, it's like golf scores. The lower the better, and 60 is really, really good. The next group happens to be a bunch of people from my own firm, Decker Parrish Sabatini. Our in-house interior design led by Andrea Hansen with incredible support by Courtney Maurer. Integrated all of those health and wellness features into every single interior feature. Landscape design by Mimi Burns and supported by Carrie Denton. Energy analysis support, Aaron Kettner back there, see him, was crucial in figuring out the shading and all of the different energy analysis for the systems that we've talked about. Our BIM coordinator, really, really critical, Jesus Martinez. Our principal in charge, Ron Witherspoon, who's at the back of the room there, who has been critical on all of our housing projects, but in particular for this one. And Miriam Hicks and I had the privilege of being co-PA and PMs on this project, which was a great teamwork effort, even just within our own design team. And finally, everything else can be accredited to Chris Wyman, who is the support system behind all of those things. So thank you for bearing with me while I go through that long list, but just wanted to say that we are all incredibly grateful to be able to work for an incredible client who's trying to do really, really great things for a community like downtown Albuquerque that I hold very, very near to my heart. So thank you.
This time I'd like to thank our board of directors for the support that they've given this organization, the insight, giving up their time. It's they get paid really well. They get Jimmy John sandwiches 4 times a year and at least one nice Christmas dinner. But thank you to our board. These projects are not easy. For the 3.5 years I've been with the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership, we've had a construction meeting every week. As we're winding down this one, we're trying to figure out what we're doing next. And I was actually on the phone with the city of Albuquerque at 10:07 this morning, so I finally told Rebecca, I've got to get off and get over here. But her and Rick Hidon were hard at work, hopefully working on the next GAP project, which will be Inca Street. I'd like to thank our staff. Tim Matthews in the back. So he was here probably about 6:30 this morning. I know he was in the office before that. Rita Gonzalez, thank you guys for all that you guys do back at the office. And I'd like to thank my own family. They're in that middle table right up there. Benson and Lewis, if you guys could stand up, and Joseph and Maris, they've all come out to our different sites. And to my wife, when I'm meeting with city councilors or county commissioners or out here at the site meeting with neighborhood associations, that's time I'm away from my family. So I thank you guys for the support for what able me to do what I need to do. I see Brent Coleman in the back. So Brent Coleman with LM Consultants. He's basically reviews all of our work and provides a report to the lenders so we can keep everyone paid and everyone moving along. And most specifically, the folks at Monarch Properties. I see a lot of blue shirts in the back and a lot of smiling faces throughout. We've worked with a lot of different architects. We've worked with a lot of different contractors, different firms throughout. Monarch has been with us through every single project, and we thank them for all the support, and they make us look good. I mean, they take, yes. It is a team. Now I'd like to call up Lawrence Peterson. They took a set of plans that printed were about 3.5 inches thick, and that was just the plans, not even the specifications. I'm going to say over 1 million data points, and I think Lonnie knows at least 999,000 of them. But with his team of Eli, Jordan, Jimmy, I'd like to thank Bradbury Stam for helping delivering this great project.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Lawrence Peterson. I'm the Executive Vice President of Bradbury Stam, and that means that I didn't do much on this project. That means that our team really did everything. So real quick, I'd like to start by saying thank you to a few folks, right? That's what today's about. First, I'd like to thank Felipe. You know, we get the opportunity to do a lot of these projects all over the place, and we work with kind of the gamut of the developer owner. And you don't get a chance to work with a lot of people that lead an organization the way Felipe does. It's a very calm hand, very under control. And I think in a time of leadership where you see a lot of people that don't do it that way, Felipe does it that way. And it's really refreshing for our team to work with people that operate that way. So we really appreciate his style and his approach to leadership. It's helped this entire project. But also obviously like to thank our design partners. You know, Decker Pear Sabatini, Hannah went on about the individual people behind the team, but obviously Hannah and Ron and Miriam and the rest of the team, just really great to work with on every project, and we're really excited about anytime we're selected on a project where they're involved in. It's really nice to have a team where you can sit across the table, not point at each other, point at the problem, because this business, as everybody knows, is tough. You're going to come up with challenges, there are going to be things that come up, and you got to be able to solve problems as a team and just keep working through things. And it felt like throughout the project, this team really was able to do that. So really appreciate that. Thank the city, thank the county, thank Monarch, all the people behind the scenes. We don't get a chance to work with those folks as much, but we really appreciate all the effort that everybody put into this project. So the Bradbury Stam team, it's a big team, right? We're a company that's been around about 100 years here in Albuquerque. We're a community builder. We're very proud of this community. We're active in this community. And we try to assign the best possible teams to the projects that we undertake. And I feel like we may have gotten it right on this one. So first of all, we have Easton Hamlin, who's our project manager. The project manager for us is kind of, he's not on site every day, but he's kind of leading the team overall. Easton's in the back wearing a blue shirt. He has a real big smile, glasses, but he's really the team leader. Worked with Easton about 10 years. Very good job. So Lonnie, he's a real intimidating guy back there in a baseball cap and sunglasses. Yeah, he's a tough guy, but really Lonnie cares about as much as anybody I've ever met about the projects that he takes on. First guy here in the morning, last guy in the afternoon. These guys really wear these projects, right? They really believe in them. They push every day. It's really cool to see his wife and daughter here with him today. I think that's really neat because, it's really a family effort on these projects. So we appreciate that. Jordan, I found out Jordan's getting married in about 2 weeks. Jordan, is that right? So, and I encourage you to tell your kids, nephews, nieces, whoever you've got, that the trades is a great place to have a great career. There's a lot of really good companies that are really needing people to get into those types of jobs. Professional construction management jobs, there's a really good opportunity. So We've got incredible partners on this project as our subcontractors, suppliers that we have to say thank you to. And then finally, I'll say that we're a community builder. We've been involved in community projects for decades through different administrations, different groups, public projects, private projects, and this is really what gets us out of the bed every day is to come to projects like this, be a chance to work on teams that are cohesive and collaborative just like this, and to cut ribbons on successful projects that everybody's smiling and happy to be a part of. So on behalf of our folks, about 200 people, we want to say thank you to everybody involved in this project. For me, I'd like to say thanks to our team, who I think is the best in the state, and I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence, and the entire team at Bradbury STEM Easton. It's been great start to finish, and I'd like to think that we're all still smiling even through the process, not just at the end. So there's always a lot of tough decisions that needs to be made, but this team came with solutions to the problems even before they called me. So like we've covered this, but we've highlighted at least 2 or 3 things, which made it really good. For everyone that, once again, that worked on this project, I want to thank you guys immensely. For the 107 families that are choosing to call this place home, welcome home, guys. We do this for you guys. Once we're not on site anymore, it's Monarch running the show. We hope you guys are happy and thriving here in this community, and everything we design, from the well building standards. The way that I think of it is how the built environment is affecting you as a resident. So hopefully the air you breathe, the light that you feel, and the heat that comes out is all a little bit better because of that care and thought going at the beginning of the project. So. All right.